Well, Senator Sanders, welcome to Texas. Thanks for sitting down with us.
My pleasure.
You've been on quite the Texas tour this week, which I think may surprise some people around the country to see some of the most progressive lawmakers rallying in red Texas. What do you say to that? Why are you in Texas?
We don't think Texas is quite so red. We think Texas has huge potential to become a more progressive state. You have a lot of young people, you have a lot of working class people, you have a strong trade union movement, and I think people right now want to fight for a nation and a government that works for all and not just the few. That's what I'm seeing here in Texas.
Do you think the National Party is doing enough to invest here in Texas?
I think in general, and I speak as an independent, the National Democratic Party is not doing enough in general to organize at the grassroots level working class people and young people who are going to lead the fight against corporate greed and create an economy that works for all of us.
What do you think is the path to victory in Texas? What do Democrats here need to do
I'll tell you what they need to do.
To get across the finish line?
They need to understand that we have more income and wealth inequality right now than we've ever had in the history of this country. As we speak, people on top have never, ever had it so good. 60% of our people nationally are living paycheck to paycheck. Millions of people can't afford health care, they can't afford child care, they can't afford prescription drugs. So we need to bring our people together to demand that we have a government and an economy that works for everybody, not just the billionaire class.
That's a message that's been very successful for you. What about this year makes you think that it will be successful here?
It's successful in every state in this country. Working people are sick and tired of working longer and longer hours, going nowhere in a hurry, while the people on top are making out like bandits. You got billionaires who pay an effective tax rate lower than truck drivers and nurses. You got large profitable corporations that in some cases don't pay a nickel in taxes. So we are the richest country in the history of the world. And you know what? We should not be the only nation on earth not to guarantee health care to all people or paid family and medical leave. We can do a lot better. We can rally people around that message. We're going to win here in Texas, win all over the country.
Colin Allred, of course, is mounting a considerable challenge against Ted Cruz. His campaign, and to large part the Harris campaign, seems to have made the calculation that in order to win in the states they need to, for Allred, Texas, for Harris, maybe Pennsylvania, they need to temper their progressive views in order to fit the electorate. For Allred, he's not for universal health care. Harris and Allred, for example, support fracking. Do you think that's the right message to run on?
Every candidate in every state is going to run his or her own campaign. They make the assessment of what they think makes sense in order to get elected. So I'm not going to comment on what Colin is doing. All I will tell you is that all over this country, you go out, you ask people, do you think healthcare should be a human right, that all of us should be able to go to the doctor, that we should be the only country, major country on earth not to guarantee healthcare? You know what people will tell you? No, healthcare is a human right. You ask people whether billionaires should be paying their fair share of taxes, they will say yes. So I'm not going to dictate or tell people what kind of campaign they should run. They know it better than I do. All I'm telling you is, having gone all over the country, working people in this country want change. They want a government that works for them, not just wealthy campaign contributors.
How do you like working with Ted Cruz?
How do I like work? Well, Ted and I have slightly different points of view on a number of issues. So, I think what we should appreciate is the House of Representatives is up for grabs, the White House is up for grabs, and the Senate is up for grabs. So what happens here in Texas is very important for the future of the country and for the future of the Senate.
What are the stakes of flipping or keeping the Senate, rather? What's at stake?
Look, if you believe that women have a right to control their own body, it's important to vote Democratic. If you believe that we should not be giving tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country, it's important to vote Democratic. If you think we should build millions of units of housing in order to address the housing crisis that exists right here, in your town, exists in my town in Burlington, Vermont, I think you got to vote for Kamala Harris. So I think if you are concerned about an economy which is geared more and more to benefit the wealthy, I think the choice is clear. It's Harris for president.
Lastly, I just want to broaden this out to some of the other news we've seen this week. In light of Iran's strike on Israel, you've been critical of the Biden administration and how they have supported Israel's actions in Gaza, for example. How should Israel respond to Iran, and how should the United States support them in that effort?
Fear right now, obviously what Iran did and all of those 180 missiles coming into Israel is unacceptable. I worry though about now a wider regional war. And I agree with the UN and others who are fighting for an immediate ceasefire. The last thing in the world this country needs is to see American troops getting engaged in another Middle East war.
You think that should be Israel's? I mean, how
I think
closely
what
should
we
the
have
United
got
States
to do
collaborate
is to
on
make
the next step
sure.
here?
I think what we have got to do is make sure that this war does not expand, become an entire regional war, and get the United States involved in it. That would be a horrible situation. All right?
Senator Sanders, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.